issue. I feel like we're talking about college campuses right now, and we really should be talking at a much younger age and how to deal with this problem. By the time students get to college campuses, they have certain views and oftentimes ingrained that are then reinforced by other students. Would you advocate for some type of education or other awareness for younger adults in our K through 12 system? Isn't our K through 12 system really letting down the concept that we have in America for free speech, but also for responsible free speech, for speech that doesn't include hate?
Congressman, I would like to be able to tell you that you don't need to worry that this is just a campus problem, but the fact is that it is not. K-12 is important not only because of the attitudes that students develop and bring to college, but also because there are increasing issues that we see currently in public elementary and secondary school, including any number of different forms of discrimination. We see that especially in certain schools, especially on the West Coast, that have a particular form of ethnic studies, which unfortunately has involved some degree of anti-Semitic stereotypes and defamations. There are things that educators can do to address this. Certainly there are more school districts that are incorporating Holocaust education into their programming. But what studies are showing is that Holocaust education isn't necessarily sufficient, and that it's better to have also education into the ways in which anti-Semitism manifests itself today. So that sort of programming is important, but more than that, I do think we need to have more attention than we have been about the increasing problem of anti-Semitism also in K-12 schools.
You mentioned funding from other countries. Do you have any direct evidence of funding from other countries? Because I honestly believe that it goes on in a lot of different areas. One of the great things about America is we're open, and one of the great vulnerabilities we have is that we're open, and social media is being used to manipulate us in a lot of different ways. Do you have any evidence that Iran or any other foreign country is using our social media in this country to promote anti-Semitism?
During the Trump administration, the Department of Education revealed various kinds of evidence that there were not just significant contributions coming from the Gulf states and elsewhere in the world, but also contributions that were not disclosed as required by law.
And these are to colleges
and universities.
And I believe there was also a effort by the Chinese Communist Party to establish groups on campuses. The Confucius Center, I think they were often called.
That's right. But if I may, Congressman, the problem is also going the other way around, which is to say the increasing perception that there may be support from college campuses for terrorism abroad, not just money coming one way, but support coming the other.
You're not suggesting that colleges are supporting terrorism abroad, but students or professors on college campuses are supporting terrorism?
There are student groups who have indicated that they are not just in favor of the same issues as Hamas, but that they are part of that movement. And there is a point at which, under federal terrorism law, that promoting the program and agenda and ideas of a U.S. State Department designated terrorist organization may constitute material support for terrorism.
So where do we draw the line between speech and where it crosses the line? The Supreme Court has made clear that anything that encourages violence, and I'm not using the technical words, but crosses the line. But is anti-Semitic speech by itself violative of the First Amendment?
In the case of support for terrorism, of course, under the
Absolutely. But I'm just suggesting we have hateful speech all around, and it's offensive, and frankly, I want to be the first, and as all my colleagues on this committee are, to condemn anti-Semitism and Islamophobia and racism and anti-Christian speech. It's terrible, it's hateful, it shouldn't be in this marketplace of ideas that we have. But is it, without threats of violence, is that speech violative of the First Amendment?
So what I would say to you, Congressman, is that the Supreme Court has properly been protective of a wide range of speech, including much speech that we would describe as hate speech. However, what we are seeing over and over again on college campuses is that where you see intense anti-Jewish hate speech, you will almost always also find hateful conduct. Hateful conduct, not just words, it can be assault, it could be exclusion, it's happening over and over again. So in order to address the anti-Semitism, I think that there is sufficient conduct we need to go after. In terms of speech, I think there should be the same protections regarding speech in this area as in any others.
I yield back. Thank you.
I thank the gentleman. We now recognize the gentleman